Hello, I'm Daniel Robbins, and here is Psalm 76. To the chief musician on Neginoth, a psalm or song of Asaph, or for Asaph. In Judah is God known, his name is great in Israel. In Salem also is his tabernacle, and his dwelling place in Zion. There break he the arrows of the bow, the shield and the sword and the battle. Selah. Thou art more glorious and excellent than the mountains of prey. The stout-hearted are spoiled, they have slept their sleep, and none of the men of might have found their hands. At thy rebuke, O God of Jacob, both the chariot and horse are cast into a dead sleep. Thou, even thou, art to be feared, and who may stand in thy sight when once thou art angry? Thou didst cause judgment to be heard from heaven. The earth feared and was still when God arose to judgment to save all the meek of the earth. Selah. Surely the wrath of man shall praise thee. The remainder of wrath shalt thou restrain. Vow and pay unto the Lord or Yahweh your God. Let all that be round about him bring presents unto him that ought to be feared. Or in the margin, it just says fear. So it could also be read, let all that be round about him bring presents unto fear. He shall cut off the spirit of princes. He is terrible to the kings of the earth. And I pray God will add a blessing to the reading of that. So I recall verse 10, surely the wrath of man shall praise thee, the remainder of wrath shalt thou restrain. So I have to say, I have certain friends who think that all this coronavirus stuff is actually quite silly. Oh, I agree. But again, once again, surely the wrath of man shall praise thee, the remainder of wrath shalt thou restrain. God is being glorified in it all. We certainly aren't just running helter-skelter, being busy with all our sports. And I'm glad we aren't. I'm glad we actually have to rest. And I pray that this will be a season of resting and thinking, something that we haven't been doing enough of. And I want to put that challenge out to anyone who's got ears to hear is, do you fear God? Because it's very important that you fear God. In the Proverbs, the fear of the Lord or Yahweh is described as being the beginning of wisdom, the beginning of knowledge. If you don't know the fear of God, you don't know anything. And of course, I'm talking about a healthy fear. So in Habakkuk 3:16, he says, my lips quivered and my belly trembled that I might rest in the day of trouble. So if there was ever a time where I encourage people to have that healthy fear of God, it's now. And there's nothing like it. Also, in verse 12, he shall cut off the spirit of princes. He is terrible to the kings of the earth. He is terrible. And I think his terribleness is being seen today where he allows us to be our own judgment upon ourselves. And I really pray that we'll think about what we've been doing. One of the things we've been doing, which is ridiculous, it's ridiculous, is we talk about a woman's so-called right to choose. And I saw this one mother who had her 5th baby, but she only has 3 living children because, from what I could tell, she had had 2 so-called abortions. She exercised her so-called right to choose 2 times, and she says, I wish people could understand that in a so-called abortion, there's not one victim, there are 2 victims. The mother's one of the victims of that so-called right to choose. You know, that so-called right to choose, it's really, not only is it a violation of the mother, but it's a bizarre form of violation. Because if somebody were to violate a woman, we would say that's awful. If they were to violate a pregnant mother, that would be even more awful. But imagine if they were to violate her in such a way that her baby died. That's exactly what these so-called champions of women's rights are doing to women every day. They're violating women. And I'm not even using the R word, R-A-P-E. I don't like that word. I like to say violation. It's a little less graphic. but it's horrific. And these violations are still happening to women now, which is even more ridiculous. You would think they could at least take a break from that, but no, they don't want these healthy babies to be born. So let's think about what we're doing. This so-called woman's right to choose is every bit as evil as the slave trade was. And so let's just repent and let's put a word in for these little children that are being murdered. Because God remembers them and I remember them today. And I declare that preborn baby sacrifice, also known as a woman's silly right to choose, will be abolished, unthinkable, in Canada by December 31st, 2024. Bless you.